Chapter 27. Olivia opened her mouth, her face red, not angry like the previous times when Serafina opposed her, but ashamed and heartbroken. She was not a person with a heart of stone, so a clever and spoiled daughter like Lily was really pleasing to her. Before, she was just a past star, her mother-in-law did not welcome her, her husband was busy with work and did not pay attention to her spiritual life, her rebellious son did not care about her, only her daughter was like a warm little cotton coat that knew how to make her happy. Therefore, when she knew she had mistakenly carried a daughter, she thought it would be better to just make the mistake. Actually, when she first met Serafina, seeing her timid appearance, as a biological mother, she was also heartbroken. But her mother-in-law chased Lily away. Olivia could not accept it for a moment, she could only sulk secretly. But this little Serafina did not like to talk, and always made mistakes. She was an impatient mother. When scolding Serafina, she kept her head down and didn't say a word. Olivia was hot-tempered, thinking, could it be that she didn't put her in her eyes, deliberately hating her? Adding to that, Lily kept coming back to visit her. Comparing the two of them, she neglected Serafina even more. Last time after her mother-in-law lectured her, although she was a bit annoyed with Serafina, she also knew that she was probably wrong. However, at that moment, Serafina suddenly became completely strong, which coincidentally clashed with her. She was even more dissatisfied with her. But Serafina was her biological daughter after all. Seeing her cry like this today, telling so many grievances, she felt her heart ache. She didn't expect Megan to treat her daughter like this for so many years. Her daughter had suffered so much, yet she was still absorbed in Lily as a mother, and had never asked her a single question. Serafina cried until her heart was broken, painfully saying that she had loved her mother very much. At that moment, Olivia felt as if someone had stabbed her heart. She opened her mouth, wanting to reply, but in a moment of emotion, she was speechless. Serafina couldn't wait any longer, turning to look at her grandmother. Grandmother was also shocked. She had gone through many ups and downs, and now her eyes were all blurred. Serafina's voice was no longer choked, and her tears had dried up. Grandma, I've always wondered why you could so mercilessly kick Lily, who had lived with you for 18 years, out of the house. Only today did I realize that you don't hate Lily, but you don't love me that much either. You've been the president for a long time, and the affection you have for your relatives is no different from the praise you give to your subordinates. My mother and brother are just incompetent subordinates. Lily does, but because of her illegitimate status she isn't legitimate. Grandma was startled and couldn't sit still. She had never thought about this problem. She was someone who wasn't good at expressing her feelings. After so many years in the business world, she was only good at wearing a mask. But she didn't expect that wearing a mask for too long, she would forget her true feelings. Serafina's words now were like a stick that woke her up. Serafina saw the pain on her face, and her heart ached. Sorry Grandma, in the short time just now, you supported me a lot, but, now I want to leave this house. If I don't push myself, I will never be able to make up my mind. Just a little bit of warmth made her reluctant to leave. She sniffed, hoarsely saying, I'm sorry, I'm very suspicious. I will suspect that one day I will disappoint you, and I will be chased away. I'm also very selfish, I don't like you to see Lily. She curled her lips, urging herself again, if both Theodore and I fail, you will hand the group over to Lily, right? Grandma's expression gradually calmed down, finally calm and without any waves. But she didn't understand why her old, barren heart was now aching like a knife. The problem isn't Lily, the group still has more than 20,000 workers. If you manage it wrongly, do you know how many families will lose their economic pillars? If you and Theodore are capable, of course I will hand the group over to you too, but if you two can't manage it, how can I sacrifice the interests of so many families? Lily has an evil heart, how can I? Serafina smiled gently. Grandma, I know, you have been a politician for so many years. In your heart you always prioritize the big things and sacrifice the small things. You want to entrust the group to someone capable and trustworthy. This thinking is correct. But Grandma, can't you give your family some gentleness? Compared to finding someone capable, why don't you cultivate your family? Moreover, the most trustworthy people in this world are clearly your family. Why do you need to look far and near? This little girl's words suddenly made her realize. That's right, thinking about the big picture is her lifelong habit, but she has to pay the price by sacrificing family ties. Not only is she not good at expressing herself, but she has also caused her daughter-in-law and grandchild to become like this. All the current turmoil of the Beaumont family is closely related to her, the head of the family, Serafina. She suddenly wanted to hug this poor granddaughter, but before she could speak, she was speechless. The 6 months I have been in the Beaumont family, it's like there's a thorn in it. Serafina tilted her head, pointing at her chest. If I don't pull it out, it will hurt more and more. She turned her head and looked at her mother. You said I brought shame to the Beaumont family of yours. I've tried to think of a way, hoping that our whole family can overcome this difficult time. I used to think that this is the strength of unity in the hearts of family members. She laughed, as if laughing at her own foolishness. It's just that, from the beginning, your words hinted that you were never in my heart. She took a deep breath, whispering as if she were dreaming. This time, she smiled very comfortably, without any burden. If it were before, perhaps I would have been filled with fighting spirit, telling you guys, I want to prove that I have the ability to become the eldest daughter of the Beaumont family. Give me another chance, I will definitely try my best, until you acknowledges and truly accepts me. But now, I don't want to say that anymore, I don't want to do that anymore. She sighed, as if she was relaxed, as if she was mocking herself, as if she had let go of everything. It's been so long since I discovered that this family, it turns out, isn't what I thought. I don't need your recognition, I don't need to live up to your expectations anymore. She raised her head arrogantly, tears streaming down her face, but she smiled naturally. I am who I am now, you can like me or not, this is who Serafina is. Olivia was so embarrassed that she couldn't forgive herself. Grandma painfully closed her eyes, pursed her lips and didn't speak, her face paled. If I don't meet your standards, I will remove myself from this house. I will leave this house today. Grandma, don't worry, I will bear the consequences myself, I will not lose face for the Beaumont family. I will pursue my dreams, create my own career. Whether I have this house or not, I will still live freely and comfortably. But the girl who had been wailing and wailing just now had dried her tears, as clean as the sky after a rain. Her lips were smiling brightly, each word she spoke exuded strength and confidence. Everything I do, the way I live is not for the Beaumont family, not for Grandma, not for Mom, not for anyone, but only for myself. Grandma, Mom, you must be happy and healthy. She turned away, leaving the other two with a slender, straight figure full of determination. Serafina. Grandma was so miserable that she couldn't breathe, she fell back into her chair. She also regretted, why did she always teach her to be strong and not cry when she saw her alone and lonely? Why did she only understand now that gentle encouragement was the best way to educate? Olivia originally wanted to chase after Serafina, but when she saw that her mother-in-law was not well, she quickly went to help her. Unexpectedly, when her mother-in-law looked at her, all the pain turned into anger. If it weren't for this daughter-in-law who didn't know right from wrong provoking Serafina, Serafina wouldn't have lost control like this today. She couldn't say a word of scolding, and was so angry that she could only hold on to the edge of the table and gasp for breath. When Serafina returned to her room, it was already past 1 in the morning. She didn't bother to pay attention to the missed calls, and fell onto the bed and fell asleep. In the midst of her daze, it seemed like someone was holding her hand. The first hand was steady and warm, with tears falling on the back of her hand. The second hand was warm and soft. The third hand was old and trembling. When Serafina woke up, it was still dark, only 5:30 in the morning. Last night, she had been able to express all the pain that had been buried deep in her heart for so long, and she felt as if a burden had been lifted from her shoulders, and her heart felt unusually light. She planned to return to the university dormitory to stay for a while. If her family no longer had feelings for her, no longer had any ties, then it might be better for the fish to swim back to the water and forget each other. After all, she could still bear the suffering when she lived with Megan. Now could her life be any more miserable? The Beaumont family's affairs were not her responsibility, and she didn't want to care about them anymore. She would rather be alone, free, and live happily. After all, being a screenwriter required a lot of time and effort. The house was dead silent. She picked up her suitcase, tiptoed downstairs, passed through the living room, through the door, without any lingering feelings, and without looking back. This upper-class house had imprisoned her heart for a long time. Now, she wanted to let it loose. There were no taxis on the mountain. She planned to drive back to school, then let Lucas drive her car back. As soon as she entered the garage, she saw Theodore about to leave the house early. "What warehouse number did you say was on Silver Peak Mountain?" "Alex, I'm mad too." The car door slammed shut, and his car drove away arrogantly. She frowned, her hands hurriedly turning the steering wheel. The Silver Peak Mountain warehouse, a very important and also very chaotic place. Alex Martin, Emily Martin's brother, Mason Clark's henchman. Why did she have a bad feeling that someone was targeting the Beaumont family? But she had just decided not to care about anyone else in this house anymore. The mobile screen lit up, a message from Theodore. "Good night, Serafina, wait for me a moment."